Hello, hello, and welcome back to Everyday English Conversations. I'm Pick Miller, but please call me Pick. Today, we're taking it slow and pleasant. We'll talk about hobbies and free time. This episode is for intermediate English learners who want to improve listening and practice talking about things they enjoy outside work. We'll keep it relaxed, and I'll highlight useful phrases as we go. My guest is Sarah Chen, a traveler, painter, and gardener. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Pick. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I love talking about hobbies. They make life colorful, right? Today, I'll share stories from my painting classes and my tiny balcony garden. I hope listeners will hear natural English and feel ready to talk about their own interests.
Great. Before we dive in, a quick note about the episode goals. 1. To expose you to natural spoken English about hobbies. 2. To teach a set of helpful expressions and collocations. And 3. To give practice tips and conversation strategies. We'll go through a few segments: defining hobbies, weekend routines, the importance of relaxation, vocabulary highlights, a short listening practice, tips for asking about hobbies, and a warm closing. Ready, Sarah?
Ready. Let's do it. By the way, listeners, if something I say is fast, don't worry. Pick will point out key phrases later. Okay, Pick, what counts as a hobby?
Good question. So, what is a hobby? A hobby is any activity you do regularly in your free time for pleasure. It can be creative, like painting or playing the guitar; physical, like jogging or yoga; social, like volunteering or joining a club; or quiet and relaxing, like reading or knitting. The key is that it brings you enjoyment and a break from work. Sarah, what are your hobbies?
I have a few. Painting is my favorite. Oils and watercolors. I also garden, just pots on a balcony, and I sometimes learn new languages, like short bursts of Italian. I like to try things, some stick, some don't.
I love that. I enjoy cycling and photography. I also collect short stories. I read a lot. These are hobbies that help me switch off from work. Can you describe your painting sessions, Sarah?
Sure. Usually, I set up a small station by the window with a cup of tea, music low in the background, and a simple subject, a bowl of fruit or a corner of my living room. I sketch loosely first, then layer color. Sometimes I paint outdoors, plein air, and that feels different. It's faster and more about catching light. It's peaceful.
That description is great language practice. Set up a station, layer color, catching light. Listeners, hear how Sarah uses verbs and phrases you'd use in many hobbies. Okay, let's talk about weekend rituals, how you spend Saturdays and Sundays. Sarah, walk us through a typical Saturday for you.
All right. Saturdays usually start slow. I wake up without an alarm if I can. First, coffee. Then I water the plants and check emails briefly because habits die hard. Late morning, I might go to a studio class for painting. And in the afternoon, I meet a friend for a walk or browse a small market. Evenings are for cooking something a bit fancy and maybe watching a film. It's a balance, some productivity, some rest.
Nice. For me, Saturday is ride in the morning, a 2-hour cycle if the weather's good, then a leisurely brunch, sometimes reading at a cafe. In the afternoon, I edit photos, practice a few language drills, and then call family. I try to keep evenings relaxed, a quiet dinner, and light music. Sunday tends to be quieter, errands in the morning, prep for the week, and a long walk.
I like how you said keep evenings relaxed. That's a phrase worth noting. Also, prep for the week is a natural chunk of language. Pick, do you ever feel guilty about relaxing?
Sometimes. I think many people do. There's this idea we should always be productive, but having hobbies is not wasted time. In fact, it helps our work. We'll talk more about that soon. First, Sarah, tell us about a Sunday ritual that helps you reset for the week.
On Sundays, I do meal prep, simple lunches for the week, and I take an hour to sketch. Sketching is less formal than painting, so it's low pressure. I also spend time tidying the garden and pruning. The physical act of pruning feels symbolic, cutting back to allow new growth. Thoughtful. It helps me mentally clear space for the week.
That's such a lovely metaphor. Pruning to make space. Listeners, notice how Sarah uses gardening vocabulary to speak about mental space. Great for practicing figurative language. Now, let's shift to the importance of relaxation and why hobbies matter.
Yes, hobbies are essential. They reduce stress, increase creativity, and help maintain a healthy balance between work and life. For me, painting is both an emotional release and a way to learn patience. What's your take, Pick?
I agree. Research suggests leisure activities improve cognitive function, lower cortisol, that's the stress hormone, and boost mood. But you don't need to quote studies in conversation. Just knowing hobbies improve well-being can help you prioritize them. Also, hobbies build social connections when shared with others.
Right. I met my painting buddy through a class. We swapped tips and critiques. It's social and creative. Plus, learning new skills outside work makes you more adaptable. It's like cross-training for the brain.
Exactly. Cross-training is a nice metaphor. Listeners, you might feel shy starting something new. That's normal. Try small steps. Join a one-off workshop, watch an online tutorial, or do 20 minutes a day. Small, consistent practice beats big, irregular bursts.
That's helpful. Also, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. It's a cliche, but true. When I started watercolor, my first works were rough. Now I can see progress, and that's motivating.
Okay, let's highlight natural expressions and vocabulary from our chat. I'll name a phrase, explain it, and give examples. Sarah, jump in if you want to add examples. First phrase, to take up, meaning to begin a hobby. Example, I took up gardening last year. Sarah?
I also use to pick up, meaning to learn something casually. I picked up sketching while traveling. Pick up is great for short, informal learning.
Good distinction. Next, to wind down, to relax after a busy time. Example, I like to wind down with a cup of tea and a book. Next, to be into, meaning to enjoy or like something. Example, I'm into cycling these days. Sarah?
Yeah, I'm into is casual and common. I'm really into urban gardening. Also, from time to time, meaning occasionally. I paint from time to time. Use it for hobbies you don't do weekly.
Phrasal verbs are crucial. Try out, test something, sign up, register for a class, keep up, maintain a practice. Collocations, free time, leisure activities, weekend routine, creative outlet. Listeners, try repeating after me. I took up yoga last month. I like to wind down with music. I'm into cooking. Dash, repeat in your head or out loud.
By the way, Pick, what about asking questions? What phrases help me ask someone about hobbies? Listeners will ask this a lot in small talk.
Great segue. Use open questions. What do you like to do in your free time? Do you have any hobbies? Follow-ups. How did you get into that? How often do you do it? Do you prefer to do it alone or with others? Short prompts. Oh, really? Tell me more. Sarah, give an example.
Sure. Imagine I say, I enjoy pottery. You can ask, pottery? That sounds interesting. How did you get into it? Or do you take classes or do you work at home? Those follow-ups show genuine interest and keep the conversation flowing.
Let's do a quick role play. I'll be the curious friend. Sarah, you are the hobbyist. Ready?
Ready!
Hi, Sarah. I heard you started baking sourdough. What made you start?
I started during a slow week at home. I wanted something hands-on. I watched a few videos, then tried a small loaf. It wasn't perfect, but I liked the process.
Interesting. How often do you bake now?
Maybe once a week. I bake on Sundays and give some to neighbors. It's a nice ritual.
Nice job. That role play used simple questions and short answers. Great for learners. Now, interactive listening practice. I'll recap a short part of our talk and then ask listeners to identify phrases we used. Pause the episode now if you can, and listen for... Okay, Sarah, are you ready to read the short recap?
Yes, here's the recap. I said, I set up a painting station by the window. I wind down with tea and music. I take up sketching on Sundays, and I meet a friend for a walk. I also said, from time to time, I try new things. Listeners, can you pick the expressions? Which phrases describe routines? Which phrases describe frequency?
Answers you should have noticed: set up a station and meet a friend for a walk describe routine actions. From time to time and once a week describe frequency. Also, verbs like take up indicate starting a hobby. Now, a short listening challenge. I'll say a line and Sarah will respond. Listen for the phrase that shows frequency. Ready?
Ready.
I usually practice the piano in the evenings.
Oh, do you practice every day or just now and then?
I practice every day if I can, but sometimes only a few times a week.
The phrases every day, a few times a week, and now and then, those tell you frequency. Listeners, pause and repeat those lines aloud.
Okay, moving on. Building confidence in conversation. Here are practical tips to ask about hobbies and keep the chat alive. Tip 1. Start with an open question, like, what do you like to do in your free time? Tip 2. Use follow-up questions. How did you get into that? What's the most fun part? Tip 3. Share a short story about your own hobby to make it personal.
Tip 4. Use show and tell language. If you painted something, say, I painted a small landscape last week. The colors were soft and hazy. That gives details and invites questions. People love specifics.
Tip 5. If you feel nervous, start with safe, familiar hobbies, movies, music, food, then move into more personal interests. Tip 6. Practice short responses and transitions. Oh, really? That's cool. I tried that once. It felt...
Also, don't be afraid to admit you're new to something. Say, I'm just starting or I'm still learning. Most people will be encouraging. And this is important. Ask for recommendations. Do you have any tips? People like giving advice.
Let's try a short example of asking for recommendations. Sarah, imagine I'm curious about watercolor paper. How would I ask?
You could say, hey, Pick, I'm thinking of starting watercolor. Any tips on what paper to use? Then follow up with, is there a brand you recommend for beginners? That's specific and easy to answer.
Nice. Sarah, what brand do you recommend?
For beginners, a 300 GSM cold-pressed paper is forgiving. You don't need an expensive brand to start. Try a small pad first. But pick a texture you like. Some people prefer hot-pressed for fine detail.
Good practical tip wrapped in natural language. Listeners, notice how she used for beginners and you don't need. These are helpful phrases for giving friendly advice. Now, a bit more on small talk strategies for group settings.
When you're in a group, use short opening lines. What did you do over the weekend? Or have you picked up any new hobbies lately? Then look for shared interests and build from there. If someone mentions hiking, ask, where do you usually go? Or do you prefer trails or mountains? Simple follow-ups keep conversation flowing.
And if someone mentions a hobby you don't know, show curiosity. That sounds interesting. How does it work? Or, what do you like most about it? These invites let the other person explain, which is great for them and gives you vocabulary to learn.
Also, watch for nonverbal cues in person. If they light up while talking, that's a sign to ask more. If they're short, change the subject gently. Say, oh, cool. By the way, have you seen any good films recently? It's fine to shift.
Let's include a short practice segment. Imagine you're at a social meetup. I'll play the listener who asks, and Sarah will reply. First line. What do you like to do in your free time? Sarah?
I love painting and gardening. I spend a few hours each weekend in my balcony garden. It feels like a small sanctuary.
Nice. Follow-up. How did you get into gardening?
My grandmother loved plants. I started helping her when I was young, and the habit stuck. I like watching things grow. It's very calming.
Good. That's an example of a short story as a follow-up. Now, small pronunciation tip. In casual conversation, do you often sounds like Jew. Try it. Do you like painting? It can make your speech sound more natural, but be careful in formal situations.
Yes, and contractions help too. I'm into instead of I am into. I've been instead of I have been. These small changes add fluency.
Okay, before we close, let's review the key phrases we used today. I'll list them, and Sarah will give a quick example sentence for each. Phrase 1. Take up. Sarah?
I took up watercolor last spring.
Wind down. Sarah?
I wind down with a cup of tea and music in the evening.
From time to time. Sarah?
I go to the art museum from time to time.
I'm into. Sarah?
I'm into urban sketching right now.
Sign up and try out. Sarah?
I signed up for a weekend workshop to try out new brush techniques.
Great. A few more. Free time, leisure activities, and weekend routine. Use them in your own sentences today. Practice aloud.
Pick. Can I give a small homework idea for listeners?
Please do.
Okay. Homework. 1. Choose one hobby you enjoy or want to try. 2. Record a 1-minute voice note describing it, what it is, how often you do it, why you like it. 3. Try to use at least 2 phrases from today's list. Listening back to yourself will build confidence.
Excellent. And another quick practice, go to a social platform or language exchange and ask someone, what do you like to do in your free time? Then use our follow-up questions. The more you practice, the more natural it'll feel.
One last tip. Be patient with yourself. Language learning and hobby learning are similar. Both need time. So be kind to yourself.
Beautifully said. All right, we're almost at the end. Final recap. We defined hobbies, shared weekend rituals, discussed why hobbies matter for relaxation and mental health, learned key expressions and collocations, did some listening practice, and offered tips to build confidence in conversation.
Thank you for listening. Try talking about your hobbies today with a friend, colleague, or even in your notebook. Little steps add up.
Thanks so much, Sarah. And listeners, remember, using small, natural phrases like take up, wind down, and from time to time will help you sound more fluent. Practice your 1-minute description and try to ask someone about their hobbies this week.
Bye for now, and happy hobbying!